Welcome back to another fresh episode of Blooming in Brisbane. Now on tonight's episode, I take a road trip out to Laidley where I visit Wayne and Val and have a chat to them about their beautiful garden. Gillian Coombe pops in and talks to us about spraying, but first let's go to Noel Burdett with herbs.
Welcome back to Blooming in Brisbane. Today we're going to talk about potted herbs. A lot of people want to grow and enjoy their herbs at home, but they may not have enough space in their gardens to do so. So their other option is to then put their herbs into some lovely pots on their veranda, balcony or patios. Now, a lot of the mistake that people make with herbs is they put them into too small a pot. We often associate herbs with being in small pots on windowsills, and that's really not the case here in Australia, especially not in southeast Queensland. Most herbs like to grow in a larger pot. The only size pot that I would look at, or the smallest size pot I should say, that you could look at for growing herbs would be something of this level of size. And even in this, I would be limiting my range of herbs. So thyme, possibly even oregano, they're the only two that I'd be looking at for putting in a small pot, so as something like this. They don't often have big root structures, but they can cope growing in a small pot like this. For something like parsley, which is one of the most popular herbs, people tend to think, well, the parsley grows for a while and then it tends to stunt itself or go a bit yellow. There's a very good reason for that. Parsley actually has a very deep taproot and as such likes a very deep soil to grow. That deep taproot can get right down and you'll find that the top growth of the parsley, which is what you harvest for the kitchen, becomes lovely and lush, very green and easy to consume and doesn't become hard and brittle. Now the other parsley that is also very popular is the Italian parsley or the flat leaf parsley. This has become incredibly popular in recent times on cooking television programs, but of course this parsley is a much bigger plant to grow and can actually spread up to nearly a metre wide if grown in the right conditions. So this parsley long term is best in the ground if possible, or in much larger containers where it can really develop and spread. It actually has a much nicer flavour, I think, than some of the other parsleys, but each to their own, and the taste buds will tell you which one to grow. Basil is one of the most, if not the most popular herb to grow for a lot of people. And this basil is sweet basil. There are lots of different types of basils on the market. This will grow up to about 80 centimetres tall and as such requires an ample room or ample size pot to actually develop in. So a pot this size, for instance, you'll find that basil will proliferate and grow very successfully and you'll have it there for an entire season. One thing to remember, basil is an annual herb, so it's not there for the long haul, it's there for a season, so you will need to look at replacing it on a regular basis, but get the most out of your basil. One tip I like to tell people when they do grow herbs, the herb that you like to eat the most, whether it be basil, whether it be coriander or something like that, grow it in profusion, so grow a lot more of those herbs. One little plant, for instance, it's a tough time for a plant to be harvested time and time again. So you'll find that if you plant more of your favourite herb, you'll be able to enjoy that herb longer in its growing season. Mint, well, it's a bit of a troubled one. It's a plant that is so friendly, it loves to spread itself everywhere. We all know what mint can do. So ultimately, mint is not to be combined with other herbs in pots. It can tend to strangle them a little bit as the roots go around and around. If you must grow it in a pot, put it into something very large, you'll find it can really cope with that and you'll get the most out of mint long term. Keep it in a little bit of light shade over the summertime and keep it well watered. It can be a little thirsty. Now rosemary is probably one of the biggest herbs that we grow in our gardens. Rosemary is actually a shrub and can reach over a metre or nearly a metre and a half tall, and it's a beautiful plant to grow, very useful, very long term if it's allowed to be. But for those with smaller spaces who can't put it into the ground, try putting rosemary in a much larger pot. So a pot this size, for instance, you'll find will be able to sustain rosemary for for a longer period of time. It needs to be planted on its own, where it can develop its own root system, and then you'll find that the top growth will be very healthy, very lush, and then you can pick it when you require it. Now, not picking rosemary every day is the key. It can't actually revive itself that fast. So look at planting a couple of rosemaries if it's something that you do like to grow a lot. The last herb today is lemongrass. We all love our Asian cooking, and lemongrass has become very popular over recent years. Now, lemongrass can grow very large, so bear in mind, to get the best flavour out of your lemongrass, it should be allowed to actually mature where it's actually growing. So that can be a large pot also, or also in the ground. It's an easy plant to grow. At the end of its growing season, you can shear it right down to ground level, just a few inches above ground level, and then you'll find it will actually reshoot beautiful lush foliage. The actual part of lemongrass that you eat is down at the very base of the plant. The top part you can make into tea, but the actual lemongrass itself that you chop up and use into Asian dishes is down at the very base of the stalk. But don't harvest them when they're tiny. Wait for them to get about finger thickness, and then you'll find that you get the best flavour out of that. So those were the things that you can do with herbs. Herbs love to grow in pots as long as you give them adequate room, and you'll find that they will proliferate and be around with you for many years and for lots of enjoyment and lots of tasty cooking.
We know gardens. We know planting. At Plants Plus, we know all you need to know about gardening.